What's going on, everybody? Rogue here, coming at you with episode 18 of Death Note. As you can see, I'm kind of in my lounging clothes. I'm going to be passing the fuck out as soon as I finish this recording, so the pre-discussion might be a little lackluster. I feel like the last episode wasn't very eventful. There was really just that one thing, the actual in the car execution plan that they played out. That is like really worth talking about because that was fucking insane. Never fucking seen anything that suspenseful in my life. I was fucking going crazy. That shit was fucking dope. If there's like any other scenes like that are played out that fucking well, oh my god, I can't wait. This show is just so fucking amazing. Like, every episode seems to like trump the previous episodes, and so I can't wait for everything that comes next. This is just gonna be awesome. So anyways, the pre-discussion. They were locked up for 50 days, and Kira was killing for, I think it was 35 days. But they told Light that Kira wasn't killing, and so they did that to try and get a confession out of him. But he just kept trying to solve the case. Like, he just kept trying to solve like who put me in here? Who could know this situation? And so he just, like, in his mind, he's just trying to solve the case because he doesn't have that knowledge of being Kira anymore. And L was convinced that, like, yo, why does this seem so real? Like, why is he getting so upset over this if this was all part of his plan? And so L ended up coming up with a plan, and it involved Light's dad, Chief Yagami, and it was to stage an execution. And the idea there was that Light's dad was going to kill Light with Misa right, like, in the car with them, and then Light's dad was going to kill himself. And so the idea was that if Misa really was the second Kira, or if Light really was Kira, then one of them would kill Light's father before Light's dad could execute Light. And Chief Yagami pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. Of course, they don't know that, like, you need a book and you need to write their name in the book and, like, it'll take a little bit of time and blah, blah, blah. They don't know that. They just know that the second Kira can kill without knowing the name. And so Misa should have been able to kill Chief Yagami, no problem. And L also figured that if Light really was Kira, the Kira that he knows wouldn't hesitate to kill his own father. That whole scene was just fucked. It was just staged to try and get evidence against Light or Misa being one of the Kiras. And they staged that whole thing. Nothing happened. Chief Yagami shot a blank. And, through that stunt, they were able to get Light and Misa out of confinement. But L gave them some conditions upon freeing them from their captivity. And Misa's condition was that Matsuda had to be her manager and keep an eye on her. And so she would kind of be under surveillance. I feel like 24-hour surveillance, because she also has to live in their new headquarters that L built, which is like fucking crazy. L built a skyscraper, and it's for the Kira task force. And so it's fucked. Like, there's helicopters on the top. He said Misa gets her own floor, and those were the conditions for Misa being freed from her captivity. And then Light's condition was that he had to be handcuffed to L until they bring Kira in. Light didn't have any qualms with that. I was kind of thinking, like, what would Light or L do if they had to, like, take a shit or take a shower or something? I'm sure they'd have, like, special things built for, like, to accommodate the handcuff situation that they have. And so, it's just funny to think about. I don't know. They're definitely not going to address it in the show. Like, it would be ludicrous for them to address that shit in the show. It's just, That's where my mind goes. It just goes to these fucking random things. But yeah, so Elle built this whole fucking tower. So I'm assuming this episode they're gonna be moved into that tower, and we'll get to see the new headquarters. We also got to see that Rem gave Misa's death note to some fucking guy in this corporation. There's like a group of 8 people who decide on who to kill to further that corporation. Those 8 people in that meeting, they brought up in that meeting that like one of us has to be Kira, because there's no way Kira would want to side with a particular company. And so they figured out that one of them is Kira, and so I feel like there's going to be some kind of internal investigations as well between those 8 members to try and figure out who exactly Kira is. Because that shit would be terrifying, to be in meetings where like someone has the power to kill, and they have the power to kill in any way that they want, really. And so like that shit would be like fucking stressful as balls, being in those meetings. You would have to pretty much play along with whatever's going on in the meeting, because I feel like you'd be scared for your life, really. Like, I couldn't be in that situation. I'd be like sweating, and I'd be like, ha, yeah, I agree with you. Ha, yeah, good point. I agree with you too. That's a very good point, man. Very valid point. I think you're onto something. Like, I would not want to rub anyone the wrong way. I would probably be pretty passive, like, just trying to be friends with everyone in that group. With the intellect that Elle and Light have, especially combined, I feel like they're going to be able to crack this case, like, really fucking fast. I would not be surprised if, like, by the end of this episode or the next episode, they've kind of honed it down to like, that corporation. I don't think they're going to waste a whole lot of time on this search, because the dude, I don't know. I can't imagine that dude is going to be too fucking smart. The way that it's playing out, I feel like he doesn't think he has the intellect, or maybe he just wants help covering all of his bases, and so he has this group that kind of come to conclusions. They like brainstorm who should die, and like, I don't know. I feel like it's just, there's this group here to make sure that the guy who actually has Kira's powers doesn't make a stupid move and get himself caught. And so I feel like that's the whole purpose of there being this big group. I don't think we like know really anything else. I'm fully expecting to see more of that group this episode, and so I'll be able to learn a little bit more of their motives and intentions. But anyways, I feel like I've pretty much covered everything. I really just want to watch this episode. So 3, 2, 1. Ally. Elle and Light. I'm assuming that's what they're referring to there. Oh shit. Wow! Retina scanner and fingerprints and a passcode.
How's this? Good morning.
No, please, just pretend I'm not even here, okay? By the way, are you gonna eat that piece of cake?
Cake makes you fat. I'm not gonna eat any.
Actually, you don't gain any weight as long as you burn calories by using your brain.
So now you're calling me stupid?
I'm still gonna be watching on surveillance cameras, so it wouldn't make any difference.
You pervert! Could you stop it with your creepy hobby?
You can call me whatever you like. Last chance for cake.
He steps on the table to get the
I'll
cake.
just close the curtains and turn off the lights.
Since we've been here, you don't seem all that motivated to me.
Actually, I'm depressed. Truthfully, all this time I thought that you were Kira, and my entire case hinged on that fact. I guess I just can't get past the fact that my deduction was wrong. And we also know that Kira can control people's actions. Which means it's highly likely that Kira was controlling your actions so that I would suspect you. If I assume both you and Misa were being controlled by him, then everything we've observed so far makes a lot more sense to me.
Ah.
If what I'm thinking is correct, when your confinement began, you were Kira. I don't believe it's coincidence that as soon as you were imprisoned, all the killing was stopped. Until then, everything pointed to you being Kira. But after 2 weeks, criminals actually began dying again. I can only conclude that Kira's power passes between people. Even if we catch someone under his control, they'll likely lose their powers and any memory of their crimes. So in the end, pursuing them becomes futile.
Yeah, that's hard as fuck.
By chasing Kira so desperately, we're just putting our lives at risk for nothing. Yes, it's just a waste of time.
Ryuzaki.
What the hell, bro? He got pulled with him.
If you were just gonna give up, then why did you involve all those innocent people? And more importantly, what was the point of putting Misa and me behind bars?
I understand.
Oh shit, yo.
An eye for an eye, my friend.
An eye for an eye. Elle has some skills. And again, I feel like they don't realize they're fucking chained to each other. Stop this.
It's not my deduction that was wrong. I can say that Light Yagami is Kira, and Misa Amane is the second Kira, but it won't be enough to solve the case.
It's as if you won't be satisfied unless I am Kira.
Well, there may be some truth to that.
I like this soundtrack.
In fact, now that you mention it, I think I wanted you to be Kira.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
As I said before, an eye for an eye. I'm a lot stronger than I look, you know.
Bam. We got a kicker here.
Huh? Yes?
Ryuzaki, I've got good news!
What was that?
Matsuda's acting stupid again.
Well,
I can hear you, you know.
He's just trying to change the subject, man. Haters.
all of them were prominent Japanese businessmen, CEOs whose companies are leaders in their respective industries. As expected, there's been a general downturn in the market, with the exception of Yotsuba. In other words, their deaths have worked in Yotsuba's favor.
It took like 3 minutes into this
There are
episode.
13 similar deaths in the past 3 months. Punishing criminals is a diversion for him. It obscures the fact that he's actually killing people for the benefit of his company.
Okay, it took 10 minutes for them to fucking come to the conclusion that it's that one fucking company. Jesus.
Look at all we've done, and no one suspects a thing.
Our stock continues to increase, but we kept it below the radar.
Indeed.
Yeah, no one
Everything
suspects a
appears to be
thing.
proceeding according to plan.
Those 3 we had killed last week. Why did all of them die of heart attacks? I thought we agreed one would be accidental.
The problem was that we named a specific location in Japan. You see, he wasn't even here when he died.
If our request is physically impossible, then...
Kira will kill that person using his default method, a heart attack.
Given Kira's history, the police
So
are
they're-
probably still focused on the dying criminals.
They're figuring out the
If someone
rules
was able to
to the
trace
Death Note,
deaths of
just
these
like
people
Light
back
did.
to us, then he'd have to be a god.
It took them half a day, bro.
Light has a theory that Kira is somehow involved with the Yotsuba group. Can you believe it?
Yotsuba? That's probably it. Good work. Seems Kira has offered bribes to a number of politicians.
As long as the NPA agrees not to pursue him anymore, he won't lay a hand on any politicians.
So that's that. Mogi and I have already made up our minds on this. If you wish to continue working this case, you'll have to hand in your letter of resignation to the MPA.
Fuck.
Hold on a
Well,
second.
you got this huge building. You
Made
might
it
as
quite
well
clear.
go all in
If
now.
you continue to work with Elle, you'll be fired. That's all there is to it. We all have our own lives, so think it over carefully.
If you want my opinion, you'd be better off as police officers. I know that I can do this by myself.
Ryuzaki,
Elle is
as
really
long as
all
I'm
they
alive,
need.
you won't be working alone.
And Light.
You
like,
have my word
two
on that.
super geniuses.
That's right. I'll have Light working with me until I catch Kira.
But when you first contacted us, you said that you would need the help of the police in order to solve this case.
There's a big difference between the help of 2 or 3 civilians and the police as an organization.
That's super true.
We're all personally involved in this. All of us have risked our lives to catch Kira.
If you quit your job with the police force, you'll be unemployed. Even if we do catch Kira, what are you gonna do after that?
I'll have to dust off my resume.
I love that little smirk he had.
Besides, if I stayed on as a police officer, I'd feel like a total loser.
Think before you open your mouth, Matsuda.
Yeah, dude. Homeboy has a family who he's already in like a rough patch with.
Is there any way I could still keep my job and help you in my spare time?
There isn't. If you remain a police officer, then please don't come back here.
But you know I won't leak any
I
information.
won't be sharing any of our information.
Cold.
No one here is going to blame you for quitting.
Yeah, right. We all understand why you've got to do this.
But the chief has a family too.
Our situations are completely different.
Damn it.
The chief's an old man.
What kind of friend would I be to Ukita if I quit now? I became a detective so I could
Yeah.
catch the bad guys, not
friend-
run away!
Chills, man. This is fucking crazy.
If you recall, a trust was set aside for that very purpose. I'm a little curious as to why you're withholding this information.
This is not the time or place, Watari.
Ryuzaki. I assume that was some kind of test to determine how committed I was to this task force.
It's not like that, Aizawa.
I was testing
It
you.
was a test.
I wanted to see which one you would choose.
I can't even imagine how he feels, man.
If I wasn't sure before, I am now. Let's face it, I wasn't able to decide right away like you guys. Now I know this for sure. I've always hated Ryuzaki. I hate him and his way of doing things!
That's too bad, because I like you, Aizawa.
I also hate the way you've always gotta have the last word. You insult me, now you say something like that? That's it, I'm out of here.
Thank you for everything.
He's gotta have the last word.
All the deaths which are beneficial to Yotsuba are concentrated around the weekends.
This is a really important clue, Dad. Nice work.
Well,
I feel like they would have
can't let myself
pieced
fall
that
behind
together,
you,
though.
Ryuzaki.
This is all of the Yotsuba Group's employees. Here.
Thank you very much.
That's 300,000 people. How did he put this together so quickly? That's amazing, Mogi.
300,000.
Is there anything I can do to help with the investigation?
So you really want to be useful? Then could you get me another cup of coffee?
Give him a
Thanks for
real
getting
job,
something
man.
done. Those two are the newest members of the task force.
My name's Iber. I'm a con man. How's it going?
I'm Weddy, and I'm a thief by trade.
Iber is a lifelong con man. His unparalleled social skills allow him to befriend and gain the trust of any target. We'll use him for infiltration. As for Weddy, she's a thief who specializes in cracking high-end security systems. As proof of that, she was able to enter the building without setting off a single alarm.
He looks so lost.
Sorry. It was sort of a last-minute decision, but they just gave me some time off.
Huh? Is a time off a vacation, Daddy?
Yeah, that's right. From now on, I can have a break every single week. Now I can go with you to the park. Maybe we can go to the zoo together. Or the amusement park.
Hold it together. No.
What's wrong, Dad? Mommy, why is Daddy crying?
Don't fucking end it there, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Well, that was depressing as fuck. What's going on, everybody? That was episode 18 of Death Note. And fuck, that ending was so fucking depressing. Jesus, like, how can they end it like that, man? Dude's soul is, like, crushed. Fuck. Okay, not even gonna get into it. It's just gonna make me fucking upset. Let's do this episode breakdown. Jesus. The episode started off with Misa, Light, and L all on a date together. And I'm pretty sure they were in one of the rooms in that huge complex. And so they were being, like, surveyed. They had, like, the cameras, and the other people from the task force were watching the date. And it was really just, like, those three having, like, it looked like tea and cake. It was a pretty decent scene, to be honest. Like, I enjoyed the, like, Elle eating the cakes and taking Misa's cake, and, like, is, like, really subtle humor, like him stepping on the table to get to the cake. Like, I enjoyed that kind of stuff. He also said that he was, like, depressed because he's realized that if Kira's powers can be transferred from one person to another, then it's going to be exceedingly difficult to catch Kira And so I feel like he's kind of fallen into a bit of a depression. He also thinks that, like, everything kind of makes sense in his head if he believes that Kira must have been controlling Light, and he must have been controlling Misa. And so his whole investigation hinged on Misa being the second Kira and Light being the primary Kira. But if Kira can control people, then maybe Kira was controlling those two into like leading the investigation in that direction. I totally understand why he would be kind of upset or like demotivated to pursue this case because of that. Like, it just seems like it would be fucking damn near impossible to actually catch Kira. But he won't know that until he actually pursues the second Kira, like, or I guess the third Kira now. Because, like, whoever has this new Kira power is, if he really thinks that it's Light that did this, and if he thinks that this is all part of Light's plan, then, like, whoever has this Kira power now can't be as smart as Light. And so I feel like this new person would make a mistake, and L would be able to catch this new person and then kind of piece it together like that. I don't really know what's going on in L's head. I feel like if I was in his situation, I would still try to catch whoever this new Kira was. I would still try to investigate and put my time and effort into solving this case, because I feel like the only thing holding him back is that he suspects that Light has the intelligence required to kind of stay one step ahead of L. But if Light truly doesn't have this power anymore, then whoever has this new Kira power would not be able to match L intellectually like Light could. And so I don't think he should be totally demotivated right now because of that fact. Like, if this happens once more, if he like catches this person and then this power seems like this Kira power seems to transfer to a new person, then that's when I would be like, hey, how the fuck am I supposed to solve this case if this Kira power can transfer from one person to another? Like, how am I supposed to convict someone and catch Kira if this power can just willy-nilly change from one person to another? Like, he had Misa and Light in total confinement, but this transfer of power still seemed to happen. I can understand why that would be very demotivating, but I would still, like, if he suspects this is all a part of Light's plan, then I would at least try to catch this next person. Because, like, the odds of this new person being as smart as Light or being able to stay one step ahead like Light could is, I feel like that's pretty low. Like, I don't think there's very many people on that same intellectual level as Light and L. And so I wouldn't be totally demotivated. That just seems like, I don't know. It is what it is. I'm sure if I was in L's situation and I poured 50 days into surveying who I suspected was Kira and the second Kira, and then had to fucking release them, I would be pretty upset. I would be depressed. I'd be like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what am I doing with my time? And so I understand. And then they ended up like exchanging fists. They fucking like Light punches and L kicks. And so of course Light got upset after hearing that L was like depressed that Light wasn't actually Kira, blah blah blah, because it's like Light doesn't have any memories of this shit. So it's like, dude, okay, you didn't, this didn't pan out, but don't fucking give up. Like, I'm right here, like, we're here to solve this case. You fucking, like, try, Jesus. And so I understand why that little fight broke out. But I understand L's point of view as well. I understand Light's point of view. I understand L's point of view. Light just doesn't have the entire picture. Neither of them have the entire picture. In Light's view, like, he's told, like, he's innocent. And so, in L's view, he was like, in my mind, you were definitely Kira. But in Light's mind, he's like, I wasn't Kira. I don't have any memories of this shit. I wasn't him. And so I can understand why that like false accusation kind of a thing would get Light so riled up. And then they got into their little, I don't know, they had to communicate with their fists and feet, I feel like, in that scene. And that was entertaining. That was pretty good. And then I feel like in the next scene, Light fucking came to the conclusion that like, hey, look at these stock prices. This company's stock is going up and everyone else is going down. And all these people, all these rival like corporate businessmen have died of heart attacks. And so there has to be a correlation here. I think Kira is backing this company. And so like I feel like that was like the next scene. Like there wasn't any like there was no bridge there. It just like bam bam, like hardly any investigation that we saw. It was just like one scene they're fighting, the next scene Light's making all kind of breakthroughs. And then we got a scene in, I think it might have been in between, but it might have been after that, after the scene as well. But we got a scene that kind of showcased that the people at that group, I think it was Yotsuba, the people at that Yotsuba group were also kind of learning the ins and outs of the Death Note. They tried to like Light did all those tests, and so if Light specified something that wasn't possible, then by default it would be a heart attack. And so they were questioning like why I think there were 3 heart attacks, and they said one of them was supposed to be an accidental death, but like why didn't it happen? And it turned out that dude like it wasn't possible for that guy to have the death that they specified, and so it was a heart attack. And so they're learning as well. Like they have to do these experimentations and like kind of figure like piece it all together and like figure out how the Death Note works and all that shit. I enjoy that. I enjoy that it's like a callback to when Light was figuring all this shit out. And so I love that shit. Light kind of did it. Light did tests to kind of determine what was possible through the Death Note, and these people are kind of just like, they're not doing tests. It's kind of just like, oh, this happened, this is probably why it happened, and then they move on. And it's just like when an issue occurs, that's when they kind of piece it together and then they move on. And so Light actually like went out of his way to do tests. Like he tried to write notes, or at one point he tried to get an inmate to draw L's face or some shit like that. And so like he deliberately did these tests to figure out what was possible with the Death Note. And so I love how there's that distinguishing factor between Light having the Death Note, like Light being Kira, and one of the people at that corporation being Kira. There is a definite disconnect intellectually. Like Light approached it in a much more logical way, in a much smarter way than these people are. And I love that the show is kind of showing that to us as well. And so that's awesome. That's fucking sweet. We got an introduction of those 2 new people, the con man and the thief. I don't remember their names. I'm sure I'll pick it up in like the next episode or the episode after that. But as of right now, I'm just going to refer to them as the con man and the thief. And so the people at the task force were kind of like hesitant, like why are we working with criminals? But it makes sense. I'm sure that like L knows what he's doing. L's solved a bunch of these cases, and so I'm sure he knows like what skills are required in this situation. Like who are we gonna have to call? Who are we gonna have to contact? Who is gonna have to be a part of this team to really fucking close this case? And so I'm sure that L has this all figured out. It seems like L is the one who brought in these people, and so I'm positive that they're gonna play some kind of like key roles in all of this shit. It was really impressive actually that thief was able to break into the building without the alarms or anything going off, because we saw at the start of the episode that the security was like super fucking like really high security here. And so like there was like a retina scanner and a fingerprint scanner and a password, and like it's just a whole fucking host of things. And that girl was able to bypass all that shit. And so she definitely has skills. She'll probably end up like breaking into that Yotsuba company at some point and trying to like, I don't know, just gather evidence low key. And then that the con man is just gonna try and like maybe like subtly interrogate each of the people within the company, or like whenever they suspect that like this person could be Kira, or this person could be Kira, or this person could be Kira, he's probably gonna have to be the one to go in and kind of gather additional evidence through conversation. And so that's gonna be my that's how, like, I don't know, that's how it seems like logically that would be like the approach to take. And so I'm thinking that's how their skills will be utilized. And then like the last thing to talk about this episode is that fucking sad fucking scene at the end. We learned that Kira was bribing people. And so the person that the chief reported to, I don't remember his position, but he got a call and he said that like, if you guys stop looking for me, then no politicians will die. And they agreed. They accepted those terms. And so all the people in the investigation team, all the police officers on the investigation team had to make a choice to either quit the police force and continue looking for Kira, or quit the Kira investigation and go back to their job as a police officer. Everyone except for that one dude, I don't remember his name, everyone except for the Afro guy decided, we've already made up our minds, we're gonna hunt down Kira. And that one dude who we heard that at the start of the episode, like he had a band-aid on his forehead, that he's having trouble at home already. And so I completely understand why he would be hesitant to kind of pull the trigger on this, because he has a family, and we got to see that like his kid's really little. I don't know, he just, like, I feel like he just started this family, and so to quit a job that kind of provides for your family is like, that's hard, man. You can't just pull the trigger on that right away. And then that the butler guy, Watari, fucking came in before that guy could make a decision. He came in and said, like, if anyone was to lose their jobs, we set aside a fund to make sure that their families were taken care of. And as soon as that guy heard that, I feel like he didn't make a decision. He was still, like, thinking. And, like, that makes total sense. Like, man, like, he has a lot to think about. He has a family to think about. And so, of course, like, that's the responsible thing to do, is to fucking properly think about it. Elle said that, like, I think you guys will be better off as police officers. I needed you here because I needed the police's help as an organization. And so a few civilians won't really help the cause all that much. But before the Afro guy could make a final decision, he heard Watari say that, and that really fucking upset him. And naturally, like, of course that would upset him. Like his friend died. He watched his friend die. He saw his dead friend on television when that fucking Kira broadcast was going on. And like, that's fucking hard. That's, man, like, his speech, like, I became a police officer to catch the bad guys, not to run away. Like, oh my god, that hit me in the feels. That was something else. And so he was in this dilemma of should I stay a police officer, or should I continue with this investigation? And like, there's a lot of things to consider. But as soon as he heard that one thing from Watari, that was the last straw. That was the deciding factor right there. And so he ended up leaving the investigation team, and I guess now he's a police officer. And it seemed like he just went to the park to unwind, and his family showed up. That's probably like the park he used to go to with his family. And so it was probably like a place for him to calm his mind. And then his family showed up, and his daughter seemed like really happy, like, hey, daddy, you're here, yeah. Like, you don't have work today? Like, let's play, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then he just broke down. Like, he's like, now, yeah, I'll have lots of time to play. Like, we'll be able to play every week now. Like, and like he just got sadder and sadder until like the dam broke and he just started like just bawling his eyes out. That was really fucking hard to watch. And what a fucking like tragic ending of an episode. Like, what the fuck? How can they end it like that? Jesus. Like, it's genius. Like, I'm fully fucking committed. I really hope we see that guy again because like that scene was too much. That can't be the last time we see that guy. That's just fucked. That's totally fucked. Got me all emotional and shit. What a fantastic episode though. Like, all around, like, the voice acting in the show was just phenomenal. It wasn't the episode wasn't action heavy, but it was still like drama heavy, and so it was still a fantastic episode. I loved it. We also got the one scene where Chief Yagami determined that the killings that furthered the organization, that Yotsuba organization, were all on like Fridays and Saturdays, which I feel like Light should have been able to piece that together when he was just looking at the dates of like, because it's only been a month, and so you look at the like, put like, I don't know, make whatever correlations you can with the data you're given, and so within that like month or month and a half or 2 months, like, that's not a lot of data. And so I feel like immediately you try to piece everything together and like find the correlations between the data. And so I don't know, it seems like it seems like they gave that to Chief Yagami just so it seemed like he was really contributing to the team. I feel like L and Light should have caught that. But I'll let that slide. It's totally cool. Maybe they were looking at other figures, other numbers, and the dates, they totally overlooked the dates. Anyways, I think I pretty much covered everything. I'm gonna end it here. If you like this reaction, or if you want to watch the rest of my Death Note reactions or Hunter x Hunter reactions, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!